Oh, it's time to get some of this electrical done. This is obviously the factory location for the main wiring box. I took everything out. It's crazy how corrosive, or how much corrosion exists on something like this. Let's put it like that. A lot of the terminals just fell apart. It'd been cobbled together, over the last, I'm assuming probably the last 5 or 6 years. I'm sure it spent most of its life with an actual mechanic working on it. But anyways, the wiring was just entirely so screwed up. Front and back junction boxes were a mess. I just decided just to totally take everything out. Start over. Since the alternator is also bad, I will be converting this to 12 volt, which I've mentioned, in other videos. It's all fairly straightforward, run some wires, hook some stuff up, and roll with it. A couple things I've run into: the Skinner valves that work like the fast idle and emergency shut off. They are 24 volt. Those little suckers can be expensive, so I don't know. I'm going to have to replace them to 12 volt or what I'm going to do. I actually ordered I think it's a 15 amp buck converter to go from 12 to 24. I'm going to try that and see if how that'll work, at least for the time being. I'll do some more detailed video and pictures once I really, truly start wiring. Right now, I'm just kind of piddling around. I've got the 2 fuse blocks, one of them for battery, one of them's going to be for the ignition. That relay right there is ridiculously overkill for this, but I've got them. They're new and they're cheap. I think it's like 75 or 100 amp continuous. The only butt connectors I plan on using on this bus, not counting ring terminals and stuff like that, but actual butt connectors are for the clearance and marker lights. The 5 in the front and the 7 in the rear. Everything else will be using terminal blocks. You can actually see the terminal blocks right there, kind of to the left. This is what's left of the OEM harness. This group of wires is pretty much the only thing I'm keeping that I'm reusing. And this bundle goes up, the A pillar cuts across, and actually goes over to the passenger side. I think there's 5 or 10 different wires that I'll be using out of this. Sitting here in my office doing this voiceover. Ridiculously squeaky chair. This bundle of wires is one I took out of the dash. Maybe 15 or 20 wires in it. The corrosion, if you have ever cut a piece of copper wire and you see the brown or black copper, that means it's gotten water in there and it started to oxidize. Some of this wire I can cut further back and still get enough to use just for short runs. Going from like fuse block to toggle switch. I had planned on doing a big update with the dash, Freightliner style rocker switches and the whole 9 yards. I'm actually going to hold off doing that. I kind of like the looks of the old school setup. And at least if I get this thing up and going, in the future, I could upgrade that if I really wanted to. I'm a dog person. Usually Sammy is who you see the most of. He's our big white Pyrenees mix. The other 2 don't too much mess with the bus. They do get underneath of it and get disgusting, and then your white little dog that belongs to your wife looks like a zebra. Mild technicalities, I like to say. But we do have 2 cats that we picked up a couple months ago as kittens to try to keep some mice, keep them at bay. And actually a little while ago I picked up one of the cats, that's Stormy, and he's actually sitting behind the seat playing with these wires, or under my feet. there's not a whole lot I can do. I'm still waiting on a couple switches and stuff, but I at least wanted to get started on it, get a couple things mounted, get a couple things run. Like I say, I did very, very little on this. Just kind of wanted to do a quick, 5-minute update of, well, kind of starting the wiring anyway. You all have a good one and be safe out there.